What is up? Welcome into the Lambo Speak, episode 12. This is a Toys Titles Podcast Network production. We appreciate you tuning in. My name is Nate. You can find me on Twitter at Nate_Dirt19. And of course, I'm joined by my buddy Bobby. You can find him on Twitter at Bobby A Winner. What's going on, pal?
Packers football is back, man. I was watching the preseason game while my kids were at the park. I took them fishing, and I was like, "Oh, right, the preseason game's on tonight." So they're like playing at the park, fishing, and I just have my phone there, and like all the moms are staring at me, like what's he doing? I'm just like sitting on a park bench watching the preseason game. Obviously, I ended up rewatching it later, but I caught it live on my cell phone at the park. It was good times.
Yeah, it was exciting. You know, it's like it's not like we're back all the way, but like we're pretty well back. You know, I mean, we're not that far away from real football.
Yeah. Hey, look, starters played. You know, that's not something that they've typically done there. You know, so you know the first couple of drives, you had the ones in. You know, pretty much every player except for I think they only sat 9 players, and 3 of them were injury related. So. Yeah. Like everybody played, you know, this is as close to Packers football as you're going to get until week 1.
Yep. And it was, well, we'll talk about when we get closer. I don't want to get all into it yet because I got to get through some stuff anyways. But yeah, it was fun. It's just exciting to, you know, and everybody I talked to, one of my good friends was texting me, you know, like about the receiving core. You know, he's like, these guys look pretty good. You know, that, you know, and a couple months ago it was kind of like, well, we'll see. You know, this
right.
And so I don't know if that's just the season being so close that you're, you know, how excited everybody is or what, but I thought that they looked pretty good, you know.
Yeah. I mean, like you were saying with the receivers, Dontavian Wicks, man, he looked great out there. You know, like he's got some juice to him. He looks smooth in his routes and stuff. I came away really impressed with him. Just thinking back to like some of the receivers that we've drafted in the later rounds, you know, like I feel like he looks more developed this early than a lot of the other receivers we've drafted have. You know, I have a good feeling about him.
He doesn't look like the typical like 5th or 6th rounder. I think 5th rounder.
Yeah.
You know, like most of those guys look like they have a couple tools, but they're like, you know, either their routes are kind of rough or there's just something about it that you're like, well, it might work, you know, probably practice squad for a while, but like, you know, yeah, you watch him and you're like, it seems like he's got, you know, he's quite a few steps ahead of where you would expect him to be.
For sure.
So, but before we get into it really, you can find the show at Toys Titles. Check out our website, toystitles.com. All of our rankings, mock drafts, videos, articles, everything is there. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe. We would appreciate that. And hit the little bell so you know when we're going live. You know, the season is here basically, and we are going to be adding some shows, you know, multiple shows a night. Some will be live. Some will be, you know, pre-recorded. It just depends on what they are. So be ready for all of that. And also check out our sister network, CFB Nation. They have a YouTube channel and a Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. So check those out. They are pumping out tons of content right now. Super, super busy. You know, college football is like here. It's a couple of weeks. I'm trying to think usually Labor Day weekend. So pretty quick. If you listen to us on iTunes or Apple, whatever you want to call it, throw us a 5-star review. We would appreciate that. And if you would like to interact with the team, whether it's myself, Bobby, or any of the rest of the guys from the Toilet Tiles Network, shoot me a DM or Coach Sheps. We can get you in a Gilded chat. There's like 200 people in it now, I think. Right now, we're all talking about our listener league draft that has 90-some teams that's going on. You're in that, right, Bobby?
Yeah.
What division are you in?
Oh, I have to check. You put me on the spot.
It's a weird draft. You know, first 2 rounds are rookies and sophomores only. 3rd round is a reversal, and it's non-veterans but not QBs. 4th round is QBs, but they got to be a 3rd year or better. 5th or 4th round, I think, has to be a guy from a team that didn't make the playoffs last year. You know, it's got a lot of crazy rules. I started my draft, Bryce Young, Breece Hall, Nick Chubb. I'm pretty happy with that start. If you listen to any other show, you know that Nick Chubb is my dude. And I think he will probably be top 3 running back this year in fantasy. I say that every year, but he's the best. He's the best.
He's a good player.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
So yes, now let's talk about the game. It was fun. It's been a long time since our starting quarterback has played in a preseason game that I can remember. And that's no slight at anybody. I don't care. Aaron doesn't need to play in the preseason. He didn't, but it's nice seeing Jordan out there. I don't think this is from what I saw in this, it didn't seem like, they're not running all of, they're not showing the whole playbook. I don't think.
Right.
A lot of it feels like Matt wants Jordan to, be comfortable, but he looks composed back there. He doesn't look like he's, like those, I can say first year quarterback, whatever, however you want to say it. But, you look at some of the guys and it's like, they look unsure. Their feet aren't with their arm and it makes you very nervous. I don't, there's some throws he makes that I don't think it's like, they're not like evaluation type throws, like a screen pass, that gets 50 yards and everybody thinks he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
That sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. I'm not evaluating a guy's talent off screen passes and out routes and crossing routes that if it's a tight window or something on a crossing route, but there's a lot of throws that it's the preseason. We want to see him sling it. And, but there were some very good things I thought too. And it was fun to watch. And, the nice touchdown made it even better. So 7 of 10, 46 yards and a touchdown. I'll take that.
Yeah. And like you were saying with the touchdown pass, on Twitter, some Bears fans were saying oh, it was like a 50-50 ball. It's no, if you rewatch it over and over and over, he literally threw it right to Dobbs. Dobbs just kind of leapt into the air and kind of chest caught it a little bit, he could have, it was just the way he caught it kind of made it look like it was a 50-50 ball. Honestly, it was just a good throw. Yeah. And that whole second drive actually was just really well orchestrated, really well put together. Since we're talking about the offense, you have to mention Emmanuel Wilson. He was, incredible. I mean, he had 6 carries for over 100 yards. He had 2 touchdowns. And it was on the anniversary of his father passing away. It's wild, but he was actually the highest graded player by PFF for the team. And, so I watched all of his carries because I wanted to see, because sometimes, when you're looking at these grades, it's well, did they just give him a high grade because he had 6 carries for 111 yards, or did he actually do stuff? Well, on that 80-yard run, the pocket, or excuse me, the line in front of him literally collapsed and he needed to boogie out to his right and see if he can make a play. So what he did was he cut back. He saw somebody in his face, juked him, cut back to the right again, and then just saw open green. That's an example of good field of vision. There's 2 things I will die on this hill that you need to have in order to be a good running back in this league: good vision and good contact balance. Yep. And that was an example of really good vision. He turned what could have been a 1-yard gain into an 80-yard touchdown. It was incredible. And I think he deserved the grade. Now, obviously, there's 2 more preseason games to be played, but this is, in my opinion, one player that you should keep your eye on who probably could make the roster as RB3 if they want to keep a third running back. Because remember, last year they only kept 2 on the 53-man.
Yeah, I don't know. I like Patrick Taylor. I did last year too. I wonder, I don't know. Like I said, the way that Emmanuel Wilson played makes it hard to not make him the RB3.
Right.
I think it's kind of a toss up with those guys. I don't know. We'll have to see special teams wise what Wilson does, or if he's a guy that can do some special teams stuff.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Because that's kind of where those guys make their money. If they're going to dress on Sundays, it's because they're going to be helpful in special teams,
For sure.
And I will say my favorite part of the weekend was Sean Clifford. Some of the throws he made were very, very good for a guy that didn't look like that at Penn State. He's throwing with anticipation. It's who is this guy?
There was that one.
We drafted him in the 5th round. They're like, well, that's a little early, and they're like, and I know, I get it. it's not against the ones. I get that. It's preseason, but still, it's a rookie, and he didn't look like that at Penn State. And I'm not saying he had a great collegiate career. He did. He beat Will Levis, who's supposed to be the starter in Tennessee, who's not even going to be the QB3 probably. But like, that the throw he made on the run to his left.
Oh, I was just going to mention that one to Samori Toure.
Yeah, that was an impressive
awesome throw. That was awesome.
The other one was right in between two defenders up the seam. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on who he threw the ball to, but it was just, tight coverage in a window. And it was like, holy shit, dude. Like, I expected him maybe, be practice squad, that Magoo dude or whatever, however you want to say it. I kind of thought with his, not saying like the XFL is the same, but, with his experience, maybe he would have been number 2. I said he was 20 to 26 for 208 yards and touchdown. The one interception he threw was a bad one, but he'll learn from that. Sure. You're going to have that. And in my opinion, out of the guys drafted this year, he probably had, besides, I can't believe I just forgot his name. The kid from Purdue, going to be Jimmy Garoppolo's backup in Las Vegas. He played very well as 2. He was a 4th rounder, and I'm pissed I can't think of his name. I was just talking to somebody about him. But like, those 2 guys played probably better than any other quarterback that was drafted played. Bryce Young got the shit beat out of him. I don't know what Frank Reich's doing. Run the ball or something. Did you watch that game? Any of it?
No.
Watch the couple what he played. It was not good. Not good.
Thanks.
But and CJ Stroud looked uncomfortable. I thought, but again, first preseason, whatever. Yeah. But I was very impressed with Sean Clifford. I mean, I couldn't be happier with that pick. Again, it's got to work out. But I mean, he looked good he'd be a great backup.
That's exactly what I came away thinking. Cause like, remember when we were like a couple of episodes back, we were doing the, is it a position of strength or is it a position of, So like we called quarterback a scratch because we literally didn't know. And like, obviously, okay, it's one preseason game or whatever. Preseason doesn't count, but it is important. And like, I feel a lot better about our backup quarterback situation now. You know what I mean? Like, like you said, he was incredibly, like the expectations weren't high, and he came out and I think he just blew everybody away because our expectations weren't high. And I can't wait to see what he looks like on Saturday against the Patriots.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if there's much else. I mean, as far as the defense goes, I thought they looked good. Of course, Carrington Valentine, I think, has probably been the standout of the defense thus far. I think, now that I say that, I there's some stuff I need to rewatch or be ready for Saturday, but I think the defense looked like they played pretty well. I don't know. It's hard to evaluate, with, what you're going against, who's playing. And, I think this Saturday will help too. Cause I think even though it's, preseason, I think Billy O'Brien and, Bill Belichick, they still kind of like to mess with you,
Yeah, for sure. Actually, the one thing I was thinking was how well the defensive line looked. Because you have a lot of like new rookies or second year players that were playing significant snaps in that game. So I came away impressed watching those guys because there's, one injury on that line. Now, all of a sudden you have rookies playing, so it's going to be important for them to get these reps to figure out, who is going to fit where along this defensive line, especially, if they're a nickel or dime or if they're on third down, they're going to be sending the house, like what players you want to put out there to give themselves the best opportunity to get into the backfield. So that in Valentine, Valentine, I mean, he's like the darling of this offseason right now on the defense, especially as a rookie. I think last week when he was saying that Valentine would probably be the most surprising player, I would agree. I think our first or second episode, we were going through the draft picks and we didn't see this coming. You know what I mean? We didn't even know if he would make the roster. And now we're talking about him possibly being CB3 on this team. That's insane.
Yeah.
You know,
and he's only 21 years old. I just saw that too. So
unbelievable.
I think he's the youngest player on the team.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I think I heard that.
Huh.
So
that's interesting.
It is kind of cool. Real quick, before we get any farther, I do want to remind everybody about our Patreon, patreon.com/toiletstitles. We would love your support. Cheaper than a cup of coffee a month. Tons of exclusive content for the patrons. Waiver wire episodes, things like that. It's a lot of fun. The chat is going quite a bit with, drafts going on right now, things like that. So check it out. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have. So anyways, moving on. You got anything else about last week's game, or you want to get into the Patriots?
Yeah, actually, I just want to touch on two things.
Okay.
The tight ends, right? So obviously, Tyler Davis got injured. I think he tore his ACL. He's out for the season, which really clears the way for the two tight ends that we drafted, Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. So if you look at like how many snaps Luke Musgrave played with the ones in that. So like when Jordan Love was out there, right? I think Jordan Love was out there for like 12 snaps or something like that. Luke Musgrave was on the field for every single one of them. So clearly he's going to be a focal point of the offense. Now, maybe not like week one, but I want to draft this guy in my fantasy. I have a fantasy draft coming up in 2 weeks. Like if he's still available in like the second to last or last round, like I'm picking this dude up because not only do I think is he going to be the most productive rookie that the Packers have ever had at the tight end position, but I mean, I think he might be more productive than some other veterans out there just because of the opportunity.
Well, he seems to be like a bit of a matchup issue. He's very fast.
Yeah.
I saw a video today from practice, running a jet sweep with him.
Yeah.
That's not a normal, guy to do. And it wasn't like, and he's got some wheels. He's a big dude.
Yeah.
He's a very good athlete. It's exciting to see, and I think Musgrave is going to be out there regardless. DeGora seems like he's got more of a role now, too. And I've seen some videos of him catching stuff. I know I'm not putting much stock into practice catches, but still, like he's running some good routes, things like that. I think Tucker Kraft will have more of an opportunity now with Tyler Davis being out.
Right. He's the clear number 2 now, where before it was like, oh, is it him? Is it Tyler Davis? Like, nope, it's Kraft now. So Kraft has to make the most of this opportunity. Yeah. But even with the blocking, Luke Musgrave and like even the wide receivers, like, they were hauling ass. Like everybody was blocking with like, dude, I can't remember the player, but somebody was blocking this Bengals player like 15 yards outside the play was over and he's like pushing them into the stands. I was like, this is insane. Like you never saw a Packers team block like this, So I just came away like super impressed with how the tight ends were blocking, how the wide receivers were blocking. Especially like Musgrave isn't particularly known for that. But I mean, if he's going to be tight end 1, it's going to have to be a part of his game. And just looking at how he performed in that preseason game, it looks like he's like fully on board with like, hey, whatever you need me to do, let's do it. And they're going to put him out there every play.
Yeah, and that's what we want to see.
Yeah.
I see. I guess that's all I had from last week. I got a couple of things that kind of go with this weekend, the game Saturday. If you got any expectation, or what are you looking forward to for the Patriots game?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to how the offense performs against a Bill Belichick defense. Like you said,
wait, hold on. You forgot about the most important thing, Zeke. That's what I'm excited for.
Oh,
Zeke
right.
In a Patriots uniform.
Do you think Zeke will
even
play in the preseason?
It's so weird to even say it.
Do you think he'll play?
I think he probably will. I mean, I think he just showed up. He might have got there yesterday or today.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like he just got there.
Yeah.
Maybe a snap or 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't even. He might not dress. I don't know. It's just to me, it's wild.
It is wild. It's going to be so weird to see him in a Patriots uniform.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. But go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, yeah, no worries. So yeah, just seeing how the offense performs against the Patriots, the Patriots defense, like, again, they're probably going to be like a vanilla defense or whatever, but if he comes out and plays well against, like their corners are pretty good. I mean, I know the one guy is suspended or whatever, but they drafted Christian Gonzalez, and they have Kyle Duggar back there. So I'm interested in seeing how the pass game is against the Patriots defense. That's probably number one. And then, I think that's the thing I'm most looking forward to.
That same for me. That, and I also special teams. It's been such a thorn in our side for years. And Durs was, I only had one field goal Saturday or Friday. I'm sorry. He was 5 for 5 at practice today. I saw from our friend Andy Herman tweeted that.
Yeah.
And so that is something. And then also the battery, Anders is obviously our guy, but long snapper, holder, that kind of stuff, I'd like that to be set up and be done because it's not yet. I think, obviously Pat O'Donnell's going to be the holder and going to be the punter, but the long snapper, I'd like that to get a little more, hammered out.
For sure. Yeah, especially after that was our largest free agent signing this past offseason.
Yeah.
You would hope that would have been the one thing that it's kind of ironed out, but yeah, it was it wasn't looking very good for a while with this kicking situation. I still honestly don't feel very good about it. So his name's Anders. I was like, yo, once he started making those field goals, he made the first 3 field goals in the preseason game, then started missing extra points. And I was like, in my head, I was like, yo, he went from Durs to Anders,
Yep.
I was like, yeah, what is happening? And then even a couple days ago in practice, he was missing from 33 yards. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. He had a couple 50 yards today. So
that's good. But that's the thing is he came out on family night and crushed it. And then, he just has these inconsistent days or whatever. And it's I guess, again, we were super spoiled having Mason Crosby for 17 years. Yeah, seriously. But I don't know. I hope the Crosbys haven't sold their house yet in Green Bay,
I don't think they will. I feel like they're just everything I see on Twitter is because he loves it there and we all love Mason, and I don't think that's going to change.
Yeah.
I hopefully that Anders can channel some of his brother's kicking because his brother's a stud. So
but his brother got cut before, didn't he? And then the Raiders signed him.
I don't
think he was.
I don't remember actually. I just know he's.
I think his brother had woes in the beginning of his career and then signed with the Raiders. What's his brother's first name?
Daniel. He may have. I don't know. But yeah. Oh, another thing that I liked, and I'm another special teams thing. Jaden Reed returning punts looks very good. That guy is a lot better than I remembered. I just don't know if maybe it's because I'm not a Michigan State guy, but he just looks very, very comfortable. Returning punts, which is something that when it was Amari Rodgers, it was holy, it's Jesus, I would be bobbling footballs like he would. And you know what I mean? That was awful. Randall Cobb was at least a little more sure-handed. I didn't think he was going to do anything. And I love Keyshawn Nixon back there, but I kind of would rather him just return kicks and, Jaden Reed can do the punt duties because I don't want to see Keyshawn Nixon. I don't want to see anybody get lit up on a punt return, but
right.
So
about Jaden Reed, when we were doing our episode on the draft picks, I mentioned his contested catch ability is so much greater than you would think it would be for a guy who's 5'10", but he showcased it in that one catch in the preseason game. Did you see it?
Yep.
Yeah, it was awesome. He has this my ball mentality thing, and he just snatches it out of the air. And it's honestly, love to see it. Love to see it.
He's going to be good number 3.
Yeah.
Maybe 2.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Oh, and by the way, Daniel Carlson was drafted by the Vikings, and he was cut after tying to the Packers because he missed a field goal and then missed 2 in overtime, and they cut him. Then he signed with the Raiders and, got his life back on track.
Well, I mean, nobody wants to be a Viking.
It was the best thing that ever happened to him.
And Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
out there in Green Bay East now. So
Yeah, for sure.
With Bakhtiari, right? They're going to trade for him. So
yeah, what's going on with that?
I don't know. I think Kurt Benkert was talking about it the other day too on Twitter.
Really?
He said it actually before the news broke, like a couple of days. I saw he tweeted it, and I don't know. I don't want Bakhtiari to leave, but I feel like if you could get a lot for him, now is the time to do it. He hasn't been healthy for what, 3 years?
Yeah, 2.5, something like that. Yeah.
And I love Bakhtiari.
Love him.
You know, all pro, one of the, a great, one of the top 5 tackles in the league. I don't know, top 10, whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Is he fully back? What, hell, let Elton Jenkins play left tackle. I don't care. I don't know. It just depends on what they can get, because I feel like you could get a haul for that guy, because he's not your everyday left tackle.
No, you're right. And this is one of those things where it could be like an in-season trade. Like let's say like a contender has a massive injury to their left tackle, and they're willing to pay a premium for a 1-year rental for David Bakhtiari, like kind of like what the Rams did with when they traded for what's his name from the Broncos, Von Miller. Mm-hmm. They gave up a second and a third for Von Miller for like the last 7 games of the season, and end up winning the Super Bowl or whatever. So it was like, was it worth it? Yes. Yeah, they won the Super Bowl, but they didn't re-sign him after that. So they literally gave up a second and third round pick for 7 games of Von Miller plus the playoffs. Yeah. So you might get a team that's willing to do something like that. But this kind of leads me to what I was thinking is, if they're not willing to trade him, which there's a lot of value in having a steadfast veteran, one of the oldest players on the team, one of the most accomplished players on the team, being your left tackle when you have your quarterback out there for his first year. Because when Bakhtiari's healthy, man, he's a stud, and you want to make sure your blind side's protected, and who better to have out there than David Bakhtiari. So, but with the emergence of Yash and with Rashid Walker playing pretty well in that first preseason game, it seems like they have 4 tackles out there, or that they feel comfortable putting out there now. So It's like, what do you do? Do you trade Bakhtiari? Do you trade Yash? Because this is the last year of eligibility for Yash. And I mean, I think he's played himself into a position where he could make some serious money next year.
Definitely. I mean, if not a starter or a swing tackle, but like you said earlier before the show, he could definitely start for half the teams in the league, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, minimum a quarter.
Maybe a quarter, and maybe not. Maybe he could play right tackle. He definitely could play right tackle for that many teams.
Totally. I was just saying anywhere tackle. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And it's funny because we were all thinking, like, going into the off season, we're like, oh man, who's going to be the right tackle? Who's going to be the right tackle? And it's like, well, now we have 4 guys that they feel pretty good about playing tackle. So I'm like, it was a good position to be in.
I'd rather have 4 good tackles than 3 good tackles, though. So that's where I'm kind of at. That's like the second most important spot to me on the field. Well, I don't know, maybe 3rd or 4th. But
you're absolutely right.
Cornerback and safety and quarterback. So those 3 are my top 3, and then tackle. So I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens if there's any,
Well, look, like you were saying, if they do hold on to all 4, right? Because it's better to have 4 than 3. And Yash does sign somewhere else next year for like a big money deal, like they will get a comp pick. And depending on how much money he makes, it could be all the way up to like a 3rd rounder. Yeah. So like, again, if you're going to trade him, you got to trade him for a minimum of a 3rd, to get appropriate value. So I don't know if you're going to find a team that's going to be willing to trade that for them, again, unless it's maybe like a contender that needs tackle or, tackle depth or something, but you never know.
I just, it's hard for me to watch, when you trade away a piece like that, if you're not either getting something back that's like the same, you're just kind of like, you're losing out, in my opinion. It's like, oh, well, we got 2 good running backs, so let's trade one away and get, another receiver. It's like, so, well, you just made your team worse. And I know that's different because it's linemen, but you know what I mean? It's kind of the same thing. Like, you're getting rid of more strength, and because all it takes is one game and somebody be hurt. So
no, exactly. I feel like you're playing with fate. right? It's like, oh yeah, we're flush with tackles, let's trade one of them away. And then all of a sudden now you have an injury at tackle and you're like, oh, we went from 4. Now we have 2. And now we need to sign somebody to play our swing tackle,
Yeah.
So yeah, you're kind of playing with fate there.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So anyways, I think that'll wrap it up. Got a big game Saturday. New England's in town. Practice has been good. No fights. If there is, whatever. I don't care. Hopefully somebody says Elton Jenkins is just some random dude again.
Yeah.
Don't be a dipshit. Come on.
Right.
Like
it's one of the best guards in the league.
Yeah.
Pro Bowl, and he's pretending like he doesn't know who he is. Like, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And then rattles off his stats after he says he doesn't know who he is. Anyways, check out all our shows on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we're going live. Please leave us a 5-star review on Apple. We would really appreciate that. We will see you next week after the big Patriots game. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.